Cometh the hour, cometh the man. Lionel Messi strikes a wonderful goal in added time to end Iran's heroic resistance. It needed that extra bit of magic to unlock the tightest of defenses. The German juggernaut faces up to African powerhouses Ghana in an hour from now. Look out for the contest within the contest. The battle of the brothers Kevin Prince Boateng for Ghana and Jerome Boateng for Germany. And debutants Bosnia will look to get their first ever points on the board against African champions Nigeria in the late night kickoff. Good evening. I'm not sure if there are double-decker buses in Iran, but the Iran team definitely parked them in the match against Argentina. Karim Ben Sharifa and Novi Kapadia are here with me. Gentlemen, I'm not sure you're very impressed with the way the match panned out, but then teams will have to go and play according to their strengths. Now, for the second day in a row, the 9:30 p.m. start to the World Cup has thrown up a fascinating result. Iran were minutes away from a historic draw, but Leo Messi had something to say about his stat, giving his team a narrow win. The Argentines were expected to roll their opponents over with ease, but they had a surprise in store, as Carlos Queiroz's men simply did not roll over and die. Every Argentina move ran into a red brick wall as the Iranians battled for their lives. The Argentinian forward line, led by Captain Messi and the support cast of Sergio Aguero, Gonzalo Higuain and Angel Di Maria, for all their experience, just could not find a way through. And whenever they got a wee bit of space, the finishing left a lot to be desired. Set pieces too were wasted, with headers that were not on target. Iran keeper Hajiji played the game of his life to keep everything that came at him out. However, with 4 minutes added on, a ferocious left foot strike from Messi from outside the box broke the hearts of a nation. Okay, so now let's take a look at how this match panned out. For most of the match, Iran kept defending, and you can see it there. Argentina, 71% ball possession, 29% to Iran, 19 shots for Argentina, but crucially just 9 on target. I was talking about how a lot of those shots went over the goal and the headers were off target. 2 yellow cards for Iran. The final score, 1-0. Novi Kapadia, you and I have covered a lot of wrestling in our careers. And now we know why Iran is so good at wrestling. Even the football players know how to wrestle.
No, to give them credit, it was excellent defensive organization by Iran, remarkable spirit, and Diggy, really, Belo Horizonte reminded me again, was it going to be the graveyard of the favourites? USA upset England at this very ground, on this very day, 64 years ago, and we had this dreadful feeling. Those 2 young Iranian players who play in the English league, Dazge and Reza, Gucci nearly got the goals for Iran. Yes. I mean, that would have been a major upset. But then Lionel Messi ultimately made the difference. But Iran have held up Asia's pride. And none of the Asian countries, well, Australia partially, have really sparkled in this tournament. Today, Iran has shown that Asia can contest with the world.
Karim, in a sense, you get the feeling that it's Chile, Ecuador, and in a sense, Costa Rica, who've actually got the South American flair going in this World Cup. Brazil and Argentina, the so-called favorites from South America, don't seem to have that flair.
Well, definitely the game of today did show us that you need more than flair. You need, when you are favorite team, you're definitely gonna have teams who gonna be defending, who gonna block you, and they are very happy to go with the draw, and it's up to you to find ways to get out of this.
Karim, you spoke about that. Let me ask you, Iran, not just did they park the bus, but they also effectively closed out everything that Argentina could do. Argentina looked listless.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that's the way strategy of Iran. I mean, if I may explain to you,
okay, let's do that.
The Iran team came very, very defensive, a little bit deep on their own half with the almost 4-5-1, and Argentina came with that 4-3-3, but they came with the same way, because see, the field is always, we all know that it's divided on 3 parts. You know, there
Yes.
is the defensive third, there is the midfield third, and there is the final third, the attacking third. When you play around this area on the defensive third, on the mid third, you can have slow passing and slow possession. But as soon as you reach the final third, you need, number one, a lot of mobility on the between the players, and you need fast-paced passing to be available. Otherwise, you cannot break a defense like this with just slow pace. And what we've seen, even including Messi, there was less mobility, and the passes was very slow to break that compact defense of
And
Iran.
at points there were 9 red shirts inside that box.
And then after that, you start crossing from the sides, which is not on the advantage of Aguero, Messi.
Yes.
So the defense
Di Maria, yes.
of Iran is very tall, and they won every header.
Novi Kapadia, in a sense, you know, Brazil and Argentina haven't seemed to have moved out of second gear, and you need them cranking up a gear to actually go on and send out the message to the other teams and listen, everyone was talking about the dream final. I don't see the dream final happening at the moment.
Well, the thing is, have they not moved out of the second gear, or not capable of moving out of the second gear? You know, Iran is to be complimented for immense discipline. They kept their shape throughout this match. No doubt it was Argentinian attacks were something like carrying coals to Newcastle, because if you're constantly just crossing the ball, this was not the Algerian defense. The Iranian defense had height,
Yes.
and they could come.
And they were physical also. They were physical also.
Physical, all the aerial balls they did. See, they were the best defensive record in the qualification for in Asia. They beat Korea in Korea, which very few countries do. So this team, unlike the Iranian teams of the past, you know, if Iran had a player like Ali Dai, who scored 109 goals in 149 matches, they could have sneaked away with this match.
Yes.
Ali Dai was a master striker who even played for Bayern Munich. Up front, they lacked a little, but defensive discipline was excellent. Argentina forward line was very disappointing. We've all been saying it's the most exciting forward line. They were all off color. Aguero still
For the second game in a row, Novi, they've been off color, and that's
totally
the crucial bit. That's the crucial bit.
Messi's magic is saving them, but for how long?
For how long? Yes. One-man shows, as we realized with Portugal, are not going to happen in this World Cup. Let's take a look at what else is coming our way. This isn't the only game. There are other games coming up as well. The first one is already done and dusted. That's Argentina versus Iran. The second one is what we turn our focus to now. It's Germany versus Ghana. A spicy battle coming our way from the jungle of Manaus. Also watch out, in this match, it's the battle of the brothers, Jerome Boateng for Germany and Kevin Prince Boateng for Ghana.
Billed as one of the pre-tournament favourites, Germany proved just why as they began their World Cup campaign with a clinical performance against Portugal. A 4-0 demolition with a Thomas Muller hat-trick was just what Joachim Low would have asked for as a curtain raiser. But Ghana, who began their campaign with a defeat to USA, are a dynamically different proposition altogether.
Of course, at the moment, I wouldn't really like to change our defense. That wouldn't be what I would want to do. If we had to do it, though, then I think we have good solutions. We have good players who are able to take on the job.
Low's side will want to confirm that final 16 qualification spot today itself. And joining the ranks for this one will be midfielder Bastian Schweinsteiger, who seems to have recovered in time. The defender Matt Hummels is expected to sit out. On the other hand, the Black Stars, who are looking for their first points in Brazil, will want the Germans to succumb to the second game syndrome when they walk out of the tunnel at Fortaleza.
I actually don't believe in, going out into a game thinking, oh, let me go and find 1 point. I don't believe in that. Any game that, I put out a game, my ambition, is to side the boys up, to go for a win.
The tie at Fortaleza, which is also being billed as the clash of the Boateng brothers, Jerome and Kevin Prince, is definitely a clear mismatch on paper, but rarely does that become a deciding factor.
We are at Kareem's corner, and we've asked Kareem to once again come back here, because Kareem Ben Sharifa, what does Jogi Low do? Against Portugal, he went for 2 holding midfielders, Philipp Lahm doing what he does for Bayern Munich. But we both were watching that game. It wasn't very impressive from Lahm. Should he now go attacking and do, in a sense, what France did? Go for the all-out attack?
Well, the difference is when he play Philip Ram here, the two, he have a choice between Philip Lam, Khedira or Schweinsteiger or Kroos as well. So
Schweinsteiger is fit.
Philip Lam show a lot of limitations, but when he play Philip Lam and Khedira, then he play Kroos in this area, which I'm not very convinced on his attacking ability. He's a very good midfielder, no doubt. In my opinion, it's better when he have to choose between Schweinsteiger, Khedira, Lam and Kroos. And I think he should go either with Ozil or Götze with an attacking midfield who can give him a creativity up front.
Okay, Novi Kapadia, not just this, it's also being billed as the battle of the brothers, because we all remember what Kevin Prince Boateng did before 2010. He broke Michael Ballack's leg and Ballack never played for Germany again. But not just that, he's also gone on and said before this game that Germany lack leaders. Now when you're facing Germany, you shouldn't rile them up.
Yes, I mean, with Bastian Schweinsteiger, he's underestimated what a leader is. But a little worry is also the weather. You know, it's maybe past midnight in India, but 5 o'clock in Brazil at Manaus, where the humidity is a lot, that could affect that Germany's fluidity, mobility, running of the ball. That is the sort of hallmark of their game.
But no, we all have been talking about how the Germans are the fittest team from Europe in a sense.
This will be the test team, yes. They could last, but the weather will be. And also, you see, for Ghana, it's do or die. If they can take a leaf out of Iran's game and, you know, play with that spirit. I mean, it's a struggle to survival. Ghana lose, they become the second African team to get eliminated from the World Cup. So, Sule Montari, I mean, maybe he'll get the older players back, Michael Essien and Kevin Prince Boateng. If they can close down this German midfield, prevent them getting into that rhythm. If Germany get into their rhythm, it'll be very difficult to stop.
Coach Karim, I want to ask you from a coaching point of view. We see all this talk about possession. There was talk of Spain and tiki-taka. The Germans play possession football very well, but they played very differently. And that is why teams like Portugal get hurt, teams like Ghana could get hurt. How do they do that?
Well, Germany do play possession with a purpose. You know, you don't see them going with lot of lateral passes. You know, whenever they have a chance to go with that killer pass or with that forward pass, finding Müller, finding Ozil, finding the strikers, they do that. So they do keep the ball, but there is a lot of variation in their possession. It's not similar to what Spain, but it's more direct. Let's call it more direct possession.
Novi Kapadia, Jogi Low is a very proud man. We've seen how proud he is when his team wins, the way he comes out and talks to the press and everyone else. In a sense, we would compare his team to a Rolls Royce. Jogi would probably say that not a Rolls Royce, a BMW or a Mercedes or an Audi. But you would think that he would want his team to respond to the gauntlet thrown down last night by France, who they could play in the quarterfinals.
I think Germans are very pragmatic also. I mean, they'll do all that is required for them to ensure that they qualify for the round of 16. You see, you have to, in a World Cup, you take it one match by match. You know, you don't really bother, and especially the Germans don't bother about individual records. So I think they'll do enough to make sure that, you know, within 2 matches they've qualified.
Which they had a problem last time. The last time they lost to Serbia.
Yeah, the second match syndrome. Serbia and European opponent in what was a cold climate in South Africa is a lot of difference. Of course, the weather would suit Ghana a bit more. So, you know, maybe that's just a superstition, the fact of the second match syndrome. I mean, Germany, ultimately, I think...
they just have too much quality at the moment.
Too much quality for Ghana.
Yes, you know, Karim, I wanted to ask something which we also touched about in the morning. You have Miroslav Klose, who is sitting on 14 World Cup goals, 2 shy of breaking Ronaldo, the original Ronaldo's record. He's on the bench. In any other team, they would be mutiny by now, but not in this German team. They don't play for records.
No, they are very professional. They are highly professional. You can say also about Müller is on 8 goals, and maybe he will be breaking the record before Klose.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, interesting one. Germany versus Ghana coming up in what, 45 minutes from now. Will the Germans seal their place in the knockouts? Now we'll take a break right now. We'll preview the late game tonight that sees debutants Bosnia take on African giants Nigeria when we come back. final game of the night will be played at Cuiaba. Now, Edin Dzeko and his Bosnians impressed on their World Cup debut, and this is their opportunity to get their first points against a Nigerian side that just didn't impress against Iran. Now, tonight's tie could prove to be pivotal one in the race to the second spot in Group F. Nigeria will be eager to bounce back after that disappointing goalless draw in their opener against Iran. The Super Eagles are in quick need of replicating the form that saw them win the Africa Cup of Nations last year if they are to cause any trouble to a Bosnian outfit that looked impressive against mighty Argentina in that 2-1 defeat. Striker Edin Dzeko holds the key for Bosnia, but he will look at his teammates to rise to the occasion as they aim at progressing into the knockout stages in what is their first World Cup experience. Okay, that game is at 3:30 tonight. Let's now take a look at what you all have been writing into us on Twitter. And the first one comes our way from the humorous. He says, Iran managing to make Argentina look Argentine till now. Well, it changed in the last 3 minutes, but then till that time they really were Argentine. This one from Blackie, she writes, Argentina seems to be short of luck, which can hardly be trained or infused by the coach. I can tell you, Alejandro Sabella will be giving his players a rollicking in a few minutes from now. Lovely Richard writes, seriously, this World Cup looks set to go down in history as the most unpredictable ever. Yes, one just hoped Iran would have won and all hell would have broken loose. Anand GJ writes it, Messi is messing the things. Well, he messed it up probably, but not at the end. He won it for his team. Our tweet of the day comes again from the humorous. He writes, Hi Dravid, the Iran football team may have to share the world title. Well, not just the wall, they really parked the bus. Now this is how you can join the conversation and actually tweet into us. All you need to do is tweet IBN Live with the hashtag World Cup. You can also write in to our experts on Twitter using the very same hashtag and we'll put those questions to them. Kareem Ben Sharifa and Novi Kapadia have learned how to use Twitter now. So gentlemen, go and tweet away and we'll see you tomorrow morning to review the games coming up later tonight. Okay, time for us to go. We leave you with something really funny. Now, Australia may be out of the World Cup, but their players could not resist reliving the magic of their captain Tim Cahill's super strike against Holland. Goodbye.
Comes across from McGowan, what a great ball. TK Hill. Goal! For Australia! What an absolutely stunning ball in from Ryan McGowan. Just what about that cross right onto his foot?
He's killing me.